Have you ever really looked at a plant and just wondered what's going on in there? Today, we're diving into exactly that, the amazing and honestly super clever ways they make more of themselves. And trust me, from the most gorgeous flower to a simple potato, there's an incredible story of survival happening right under our noses. So let's start with a question you've probably asked before. Why are flowers so, well, beautiful? All those vibrant colors and amazing smells? You might think it's all for us, but nope. That beauty is actually a brilliant advertisement and has a very specific job to do. And that gets us to a flower's secret mission. Seriously, behind every single petal, every tiny grain of pollen, there is a master plan. It's a whole strategy for creating the next generation. So let's pull back the curtain and see how it works, starting with their most famous method. That method is called sexual reproduction. And really, it's all about teamwork. It's the process where male and female reproductive cells, they're called gametes, fuse together to create a brand new seed. And to really get how this works, we've got to take a look inside the flower itself. All right, first up, let's look at the male part. It's called the stamen, and you can basically think of it as the pollen factory. It's just perfectly designed for this one job. Right at the top, you've got the anther. That's where all the pollen grains are actually made. And holding it up is the filament, a thin stalk that's all about getting that anther in just the right spot to spread that pollen around. And waiting to receive that pollen is the female part, the pistil, and it is also perfectly designed for its mission. At the very top, it's the stigma, which has a sticky surface literally made to catch and trap pollen grains. Below that, you have the style, which is a tube connecting the stigma all the way down to the ovary, where the precious ovules are kept safe inside. Okay, so we have the pollen and we have the target, but how does the pollen get from point A, the anther, to point B, the stigma? Well, this is where the story gets really dynamic. Welcome to the great pollen journey. Now, this journey has a scientific name. It's called pollination. It's really just the transfer of pollen from the male part to the female part. You can think of it like a super important delivery service, and the flower's bright colors and sweet nectar, that's the payment for the delivery. So who are the delivery drivers? Well, plants have recruited a whole army of partners for this job. Most famously, you've got insects like bees and butterflies who are completely drawn in by that colorful display. But some plants just rely on the wind to do the job, while others use birds, water, or even bats and other animals. It's an absolutely incredible partnership. So once a grain of pollen finally lands on that sticky stigma, an amazing microscopic event kicks off. A tiny little tube starts to grow, burrowing all the way down through the style. The male gamete then travels down this special tube on a mission to reach an ovule waiting in the ovary. And when it finally gets there, the male and female gametes fuse, creating what's called a zygote, the very first cell of a brand new plant. After that fusion is successful, this final, incredible transformation begins. The ovule develops into a seed with a tiny plant embryo tucked inside, and the ovary surrounding it, it swells up and ripens into a fruit. So yeah, every single apple, berry, or seed you eat is the direct result of this amazing process. It's a pretty amazing system, right? All about teamwork and partnerships. But what if I told you that some plants don't need a partner at all? What if they could just make a copy of themselves? And this brings us to the second master strategy in the plant kingdom, asexual reproduction. You can think of this as a plant's superpower. It's their ability to go it alone, to create new life without any flowers, pollen, or partners. So asexual reproduction is pretty much cloning. A new plant grows directly from the parts of a single parent, like the roots, the stems, or even the leaves. There's no fusion of gametes, which means the new plant is a genetically identical copy. Let's look at a few ways they do this. One really common method is something called the runner. And this is just a brilliant strategy for plants that want to spread out and take over new ground really quickly. And the perfect example is a strawberry plant. It sends out these long, horizontal stems that literally run along the top of the soil. And at certain points along that runner, a whole new little plant will just sprout, complete with its own roots and leaves. One parent plant can create an entire patch this way. Next up, we have a method that happens underground, the tuber. This is a really clever way for a plant to store food and create new life at the same exact time. And the most famous tuber is, of course, the potato. I mean, you've seen this happen, right? You leave a potato in the pantry for a little too long and it starts to sprout. Well, those little sprouts growing from the eyes aren't just random. Each one is a bud that can grow into a brand new, genetically identical potato plant.
Now, humans have gotten pretty smart and learned how to harness this ability too. One of the most popular methods, used by gardeners everywhere, is the cutting.
If you've ever seen someone grow a new rosebush from just a piece of another one, you've seen this in action. You just take a cutting from a stem, you plant it in some soil, and it will grow into a full new plant, a perfect clone of the original.
So, what we have here are two very different paths. One is all about teamwork and mixing genes, and the other is focused on just making solo copies. But both of them lead to the exact same goal, making more plants. So let's see how these two master strategies stack up side by side.
Okay, so if we break it down, sexual reproduction involves those special cells, gametes. It requires fertilization, and it takes two parents. The big payoff here is genetic variation, which is the key to adapting over time. On the flip side, asexual reproduction involves just one parent and no gametes. The result? An identical clone. It's a really fast and reliable way to do things, but it offers zero genetic diversity.
So here's the crucial point. Plants are not limited to just one way of doing things. They have two powerful and completely different toolkits for survival. Whether it's the really elaborate dance of pollination or the simple efficiency of cloning, both are incredible strategies for achieving the ultimate goal, just continuing the species.
So the next time you see a bee buzzing around a flower, or you notice those little runners on a strawberry plant, or even just eat a piece of fruit, which incredible story are you going to remember? The journey of teamwork in a genetic lottery, or the story of the perfect self-sufficient copy? It definitely makes you see the green world all around us in a whole new way.